Archives of Prasar Bharati presents the timeless treasure of golden era.
This week, take a train journey through history at the Rail Transport Museum and watch nimble hands convert paper and wood into kites of glorious designs. Big wheels never die. They just stop rolling. If they're lucky, the last stop for them is the Rail Transport Museum. The museum is a repository of some of the most beautiful things that have been on Indian rails. One of them stands guard near the entrance, welcoming visitors in. The superb condition of its preservation belies its age and is the norm here. This excellent state of repair, for example, is also seen in the fire engine, which used to do guard dog duty from 1915 to 1960 for the State Railway of His Exalted Highness the Nizam of Hyderabad. The metal is burnished and gleaming. The lights look as though they would come on at the flick of a switch. Even the serpentine hosepipe is in place, intact and whole. The mixture of quaintness and authenticity is such that all that is required is a sign saying, "In case of fire, break glass." In another enclosure not far away stands the Fairy Queen, as ethereal as its name. It is the earliest preserved locomotive in India, having been built in 1855 in Leeds. For more than 50 years, this magnificent machine trundled the tracks of the East Indian Railway till, in 1909, it was gracefully retired out of service. Facing the Fairy Queen is an engine that's only half an engine, an A48 Indian State Railway Standard. It was born in 1891. Now it stands sanctioned for use as an instructional model. Its bared heart reveals the intricate mechanisms that make these juggernauts tick. The outdoor section of the museum has been constructed not only to let these sleeping trains lie, but also to replicate the equipment that once let them run. Signal posts have been duplicated, along with the controls that operate them. Rail tracks crisscross across the grass. Points, too, have been created and can actually be used to shift rails. There is also, among all these stationary engines and coaches, one that runs. The toy train. Traverses a circular route past all its big brothers, and a ride on it is like a guided tour through the railroads of history. Let's take that guided tour. The first landmark is a shiny black engine, looking like new. But that's the last thing it is. The F1734 is the first engine to have been built in India, made in Ajmer in 1895 for the Rajputana Malwa Railway. The track is then taken over by a series of coaches which have seen distinguished occupants. The salon used by the Prince of Wales, later King Edward VII, in 1876, is decorated with his personal monogram. The Maharaja of Mysore's state salon from the turn of the century initially cost 29,500 rupees to make, a fortune in those days. The all-white viceregal dining car, built in 1889 for the Bombay, Baroda and Central India Railway. Further down the line is another relic of royal blood, a special monorail built for the princely state of Patiala. Its one-track arrangement needed to be balanced by a smaller wheel on a concrete strip that ran the length of the section on which the monorail travelled. The YCGI 21900 is also a piece with pedigree. It belongs to the class of electric locomotives which heralded the birth of the electrified age in rail travel. Built in 1930 by an English electric subsidiary, it was used by the Southern Railway up to 1967. Two of its more flamboyant contemporaries stand close by. Passenger locos, which operated on the Great Indian Peninsula Railway. These two elder men of the tracks are named Sir Roger Lumley and Sir Leslie Wilson, after luminaries since turned to dust. Our little workhorse takes the bend, passes through a tunnel and over a turntable, and the landscape changes. The engines and coaches are less regal on this side. There are, though, glimpses of the quaint, the oddity. A service engine converted out of a Dodge truck body and definitely showing a resemblance. One of the early versions of cars used on the Bombay Suburban Railway, sporting the appropriate colours but otherwise far removed from its modern counterparts. A double-decker coach meant for transporting livestock, built with wooden slats like a Venetian blind. A monster mobile crane from the railroad's early days rears its hooked head high above the trees. We're nearing the end of our trip, and as we slow down, a few machines reappear to remind us of the glory that they once bore. A splendid coach which carried dignitaries along the stretches of the Oudh Rohilkhand Railway, with a cage at one end to keep chickens in. A 6-car armoured train, which was fitted out with searchlights, Maxim machine guns, and a 12-pounder artillery piece, and used during World War I by the British Army. Our toy train draws to a stop, close to an engine which almost looks like a toy itself. Named Ramgoti, this endearing little thing stands forlorn before a signal, maybe waiting for that grand day when it might once again be asked, "Come forth." A narrow, crowded street in the congested colonies across the Yamuna. When the rains come, bad drainage means that the water collects on the roads. None of this reflects the special character of this lane, but you only have to look up from the mud to realize it. Every other shop lining the street sports diamonds of vivid color. This is Kite land, and much of the activity that goes on here is engendered by the making, testing and buying of kites and charkis. Color runs riot here, in both the designs of the kites and the threads and the reels. Among the signs here is that of Shan, the latest in generations of kite makers. The shop is representative of others here. Stacks of kites lie in colorful chaos, as yet distant from their flights of glory. There are ones on display, a demonstration of the versatility of hue and form that will soon dot the skies. Empty charkis show their skeletal ribs, while others stand clothed in manja of variated shades. In the middle of all the mess, trained hands work industriously at creating these potential monarchs of the skies out of the raw material of chiffon-like paper and frail lengths of wood.
ये कमांडी ट्रेडर का जो फट्टा है वो तो कलकत्ते से आता है.
The wood for the thaddas comes from Assam. It is made into strips and then supplied here, where it's put on the kite. Paper comes from various places, from Calcutta as well as Ballarpur. Once the season here gets over, it begins in Ahmedabad and Jaipur. Then comes Meerut, followed by Aligarh. When the season in Aligarh finishes, Delhi is ready to start again. In other words, there's kite flying 12 months of the year. The first job is the cutting. Then the designs are put on and the thadda is stuck. Following this, the cord is strung around the edges and the kite is ready. A closer, more detailed look at the actual process of a kite being made reveals that there's more to it than what Shan says. To begin with, the shape of the kite is cut out of the paper using a cardboard template. Additional elements of design are incorporated on this basic shape, using other pieces of paper. The corresponding bits of the base paper are first cut out to maintain balance. Once the design is ready, the cross sticks, called thaddas, are pasted on. Then the four edges of the kite are threaded to provide it stiffness and to prevent it tearing in gusts of wind. After that, all that remains is to do the final gumming and to add the last few components which will give it strength and stability.
कठिनाइयाँ तो बहुत होती
There are many difficulties. It's delicate work, and there's always the danger of the paper tearing. Even the slightest rough handling can finish a kite. As for transporters, what do they know about their cargo?
ये परेशानी है बस.
Yes, this is delicate work, but the sure hands of the workers in Shan's factory make it seem all so easy. Here, it's like an orchestrated mass production unit at work. At lightning speed, each lifeless sheet of paper is converted into a diamond that will flash and dance in the breeze, straining at its leash of colored thread. Next week, a shelter where every dog has his day. The beauty of an activity once called royal, and a legend that makes pots grow on trees.